What's good, everybody? Welcome into Early Edge Live as we count down to Sunday Night Football. The Giants and the Commanders playing for the second straight game. Now, if you watch the games today, crazy. The last 20 minutes, crazier. Perhaps the dumbest play in the history of the NFL just happened as the Patriots, who had a playoff spot, literally threw it away on the last play of the game. If you haven't seen it yet on what happened in Las Vegas, go look it up. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Never, ever, 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 ever. Now, Chargers win late over the Titans, so they continue to play well at 8-6. And how about the Bengals? They scored 34 unanswered points against Tom Brady and the Bucs. Bucs scored late, but it's going to be 34-24 is going to be the final there as the Bucs continue to struggle. Now, Tampa just one game up on all three teams in the NFC South with 3 games to play. Crazy, crazy day. Let's bring in the stars of the show because we've got a lot to talk about tonight. And first and foremost, live from Nashville, Tennessee, the Pit House Level. M Squared. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Coach. What an absolutely crazy day and weekend of comebacks. And then the Raiders game, we'll all talk about that for a while. They're like the opposite of the Vikings in a way. How many one-score games have they lost? They finally came out on the right side of one of those insane one-score games. That team, they could easily have a winning record and be leading their division almost with Kansas City.
It's unbelievable. RJ White just tweeted out a few minutes ago that if they would have won all the games they were up at halftime, they'd be 10-4. Yeah. And a lot of those were double-digit leads as well. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Mikey, we'll get back to you in a second. Now, next, he is the most handsome man in all of the Early Edge universe. See, Najad, what did you make of all the craziness this afternoon?
I mean, this is football in late December or mid-December. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have my collar up? Oh, I'm so sorry. See, everybody, that's embarrassing. I stopped by the club earlier today, and they do this ritual with 3-time winners. It's a long story. We'll talk about it some other time over scotch. But the point is, you had a question. I'm so sorry about that. Let me fix myself up. Listen, this is crazy. We talked about it on the Final Bets show. These are playoff games, and unfortunately, some people have non-playoff moments. Jacoby Myers doing his best J.R. Smith, throwing it back when he doesn't have to. It's a tie game. You're heading into overtime. And just these are the things that can happen in December. And unfortunately for the Patriots, maybe it's no playoffs for them as a result of this singular moment.
They're going to fall to 7-7. The Jets fell to 7-7 today. And that one game, that one mistake. But a lot of us, if you watch our futures episodes, we've been sitting on the Patriots not to make the playoffs for 3 months. So that helped me. I'm happy about it, but it was still crazy. Finally, live from parts unknown, Prop Stars. Good evening, sir.
Coach, what's good? Mikey, Cousin Sia. Cousin Sia just mentioned non-playoff moments. Have to shout out Cousin Sia because he just got eliminated by AB in the inaugural SportsLine Fantasy Football League. So he gave us and delivered a non-playoff moment by losing to AB, who I might add I will be facing next week in the championship for said SportsLine Fantasy Football title.
All right. Congratulations to you and AB. Little surprising that a man so good in fantasy got beat by AB, but sometimes, you got to feel sorry for people. You know what I mean? You got to do it.
I mean, the truth is, my friend Math will confirm that I had the best team in this league by a large, wide margin, particularly over AB's squad. I was leader in points. I had the best record, but sometimes you lay an egg in the playoffs. I had Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. He had Josh Allen. Josh Allen really carried the day for him, but I needed obviously something from my quarterback and best running back, and it didn't happen. That's the first time they've flopped probably in 9 or 10 weeks. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, but it happens. It happens. So tip of the cap, but you're right. Justin Herbert decided not to play until the fourth quarter today, so that was the problem. But they still won. They're 8-6. Mm-hmm. Not that helps you any. All right, let's get into our best bets for the night, and we're going to chop up AB's just a little bit for a reason. So AB, voice of God, you're going to start us off. Give me the team totals that you like in this game first, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, so we are going to go with 2 of them here. We're going to play the Giants second half team total over 9.5, priced at -105, and we're also going to play the Commanders second half team total over 10.5 at +100. And the reason being is that this game could start unbelievably slow. We've seen a lot of unders and underdogs playing today. And also, you know what? Overtime as well could help us with these two teams. So we're going to play both second halves right there.
Overtime. What would make you think, AB, that this game would go to because it just went to overtime 2 weeks ago when the teams played each other. That's why you think overtime could come into play. By the way, second half totals today. How about Cardinals and the Broncos? Somebody in our crew had the over, 36.5. There was 9 points in the first half, 33. 30 in the second half. I'm not a math major. I apologize. But second halves, even the Cardinals and Broncos without a quarterback can score points. All right, we're going to get back to AB in a second. But see ya. I know tonight, this is your squad. You love the Commanders tonight. But in order for them to win, in your heart, you need them to play on the field. And when they play on the field, who do you think will have a good game?
Well, we know what the identity of this team is outside of their defense. It's a little bit of Taylor Heineke, and it's a lot of bit of Brian Robinson. So my play in this game is Brian Robinson over 64.5 rushing yards. Last time these two teams played, which, reminder again, it was just 2 weeks ago, was the last game that Washington played because they are coming off a bye. He had 23 rushing attempts. He had 96 yards, and he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. I think that 4.6 yards per carry is interesting to note because he was really inefficient in the beginning of the year when he came back from his gunshot wound, which is just crazy to say. But since that time, let's go like the last 4 games, 3.3, 3.8, 5.8, and 4.6 yards per carry. So he's certainly getting more comfortable. The offensive line is getting more comfortable. He's hit this 64.5 rushing total in 3 of his last 4 games. And for the record, his rushing attempt number in those 4 games, 26, 15, 18, and 21. So I did want to give out a rushing attempt over, but it was only presented on FanDuel, and with one book, I didn't feel comfortable giving it out. But given those rushing attempts and given his yards per carry, and given the fact that the Giants are allowing 5.3 yards per carry, it just sets up really nicely in a neutral game script for, regardless of Antonio Gibson's health and how much he carves into it. I think we're going to see a lot of rushing attempts from Brian Robinson, increased efficiency, and he sails over this 64.5 rushing yard total.
Yeah, our guy Matt says it's only 62.5 on DraftKings, on MGM. So it's definitely in that neighborhood that anybody can play this one, which we absolutely love. But by the way, to know how efficient these lines are, Sia cashed an over 254.5 today on Dak Prescott. I lost the same bet because I got it at 257. That's how tight these can be. And he came in at 256. So when I say bet it when we give it out, I mean bet it when we give it out, because even yours truly can get screwed over when you wait. Do not wait. Now, on the other side of the fence, Alex, there is a running back that when he was healthy this year looked dynamic. He hasn't looked healthy lately, but all we need him to do tonight, in your mind, is have one really, really good run. Why?
Yeah, Coach, this is a prop that I loved. And if you recall, we rode early in the season frequently at Saquon Barkley over 13.5 yards longest rush. There is a lot to like about this prop, but I'll give you my favorite aspect of it in a moment. But he's gone over this in 9 of 13 games. He's second in the NFL in breakaway yards. That's a metric that measures a player's explosiveness, a running back's explosiveness. But what I like most about this prop is the fact that Saquon practiced in full this week without limitations. Coach, you mentioned how he had been dealing with injuries, really hampered his play. He got booted from the Eagles game after playing roughly a quarter and a half. So he practiced this week without limitations, doesn't have an injury designation coming into this game. So I think this is going to be the healthiest Saquon we've seen since midway through the season. We're getting a big discount on this number. The Giants offense is predicated on Saquon breaking off big plays. That's his running style. So I absolutely love him over 13.5 yards longest rush.
Do you like him for the game or his combo number at 89.5 at all?
I don't mind it. I have a lot more confidence in this prop just based on his running style. I'd personally stay away from those other props.
All right, very good. Before we get back to AB, I know you were in the lab today too, Mikey. Anybody pop out at you? Anybody you think could have a spike game, as Alex likes to say?
There's 2 guys I'm focused on. One of them is the guy Alex is talking about, Saquon Barkley. I'm focused in the similar market to Alex in that I'm looking for an explosive play, but I'm also looking for an anytime touchdown on Saquon. I think he ends up landing in the end zone here. I like the explosive play angle. The other guy is going to be Jahan Dotson. I think this sets up as a really nice spot for him individually. There's a lot of attention being paid to Terry McLaurin for great reason. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL in terms of seeing market share. So it's Jahan Dotson mostly and Saquon Barkley that I have my eye on the most here in this game.
All right. So for Dotson, I don't have a catch prop, but his number yards is over 28.5. It's juiced to -115 currently.
Yeah, so I lean over on it. I'm mostly speculating on touchdowns with him as well. That's where I'm mostly speculating, but have a slight lean there. I have the number at 31 yards, but I do think it's kind of fragile. It depends on which side of the game you're on. If you like Washington and think they win easily, I'd probably stay away from it. If you think the game's going to be a dogfight and ultra competitive, then I would definitely look to play it.
I know that you don't normally, and we're going to ask you that question, Alex, in a second. I know you normally don't look at recent results, but it was just 20-20 2 weeks ago on December 4th. So based off of that result, do you think it'll be competitive tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think it'll be a competitive game. It's a division game here. These opponents know each other pretty well. Both teams, frankly, are pretty well coached. So I do think it will be a competitive game. A competitive game in the NFL is still a 4-point game, which is basically where the spread is. So I'm not projecting a tie again. I don't know that we'll see something like that. Washington is definitively the better team. But a lot can happen in a 1-game sample here between two teams. So I do expect it to be a back and forth game. It's another one that sets up really, really well to live bet. Basically, if you have any faith at all in the Giants, start right now with the Giants either +4.5 or start right now with the Giants money line. If they're able to score first in this game, you're going to see these lines move to the point where you'll be able to arbitrage it for sure.
I encourage you to follow all of my guys because you learn right there. Live betting is the new rage, but you got to be able to know how to do it. Nobody's better than Mikey and these guys at knowing when to hit it. And you also have to be watching the game live. Don't just watch it on your phone and start betting live because you will get crushed doing it that way. Mikey, you have something, Mikey? Go ahead.
No, I just glanced at the chat. People are going to ask about the first quarter. Slight lean. I'm not going to pay -150 on a 7.5. I would be more inclined to, again, look at it live, but not something I want to play at that kind of juice here. In the NFL, the lines are super, super sharp compared to college football. There's a massive difference in any football game betting 7.5 versus the 13.5s, 14.5s that we bet in college football.
No doubt about that. All right, Mikey, thank you for that. Now, Alex, let me come back to you. Noah's asking how high would you play your longest rush up to 14.5 currently some places. What did you say? Or did you say it?
Yeah, so I'd play it at 14.5, but I'd probably scale down to maybe a quarter or a half unit at that number. The 13.5 was recently available on DraftKings, so I definitely shop around, make sure you can find the best number.
All right, very, very good. Now, tonight, when you got Taylor Heinicke, who we like, but he's a gritty, grimy, blue-collar quarterback that has been prone to make some mistakes, then we know what Daniel Jones can do. He'll make some throws that you just scratch your head. What was he looking at? So, voice of God, come back into the show, please. And I know the no-fly zone is open somewhere tonight, perhaps with both guys. So, I know you have two more best bets. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. We're going to come back to it. The no-fly zone is open for both quarterbacks tonight. Now, understand this. All right, Daniel Jones over half an interception is plus 160. Taylor Heinicke over half an interception is plus 125. They've thrown 5 and 4 interceptions this year, respectively. So understand it's a little bit of a risk there. These guys don't generally throw a ton, but I want to show you tonight why we have value on that. So let's take a look at the no-fly zone here first for Taylor Heinicke. On the left, you will see the Giants' pass defense rankings across the NFL. Pretty solid there, all right? And you see the graphic here on the right. The middle of the field and the short left is where Taylor Heinicke is going to have problems tonight. All right, now, the points of contention, deep left, deep right for him. Let's see and watch how aggressive that he is tonight, because he could have success or it could all go to hell very, very quickly for him. So those are your points of contention, but his interception tonight or multiple is going to come short left and in the middle of the field. And some notes here really quickly. 60% of Heinicke's interceptions this year tied or playing from ahead. Most quarterbacks are not that way, and also on the opponents, 49 to 20, 60% as well. So be and pay attention to that. Let's move real quick. Daniel Jones, same deal here. So you see the Commanders pass defense rankings on the left here, and on the graphic on the right, Daniel Jones, do not throw it to the right, and that's going to be a problem because for a right-handed quarterback, throwing it to your right is generally a safety valve position, but it is going to be dangerous for him tonight against this Commanders pass defense. However, you see on the left side, mid to deep left, he could have a lot of success, and the point of contention will be deep to the right. He could hit one big, or they could pick him off about 6 times. It could be trouble out there deep right, so be careful with that. But watch, interception will come on the right side of the field. And lastly, Daniel Jones, 75% of his picks have came from behind in said games, and 75% in the second half of games. I give it back to you.
All right, very, very good. So we are playing, just to be clear, AB, we're playing both quarterbacks to throw at least one interception tonight. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
And we're getting it at plus money, which is even better for us, which was a little surprising to me, to be quite honest with you. All right, so you guys see the no-fly zone. I know sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand, but that's why we bring it to you, so you understand when you're watching the game, educate and entertain. So let's talk about yardage for a second, Sia, because I'm staring at 195.5 for Daniel Jones, 204.5 for Taylor Heineke. Nobody knows this Commanders team's better than you. What do you think this game script looks like tonight for the QBs?
Yeah, part of the reason I like the unders on both of those quarterbacks is because I think we're going to see a lot of time of possession stuff. But on both sides, by the way, I think a healthy Saquon Barkley could, milk the clock even against a really stout Washington rush defense, but especially on the Washington side. If you think this is going to be a neutral game, listen, if you think the Giants are going to come out on top early in this game, then I think the Taylor Heineke pass yards is certainly in play, but I don't think that. And I think most people think this is pretty much a neutral game script, which is why I like the Brian Robinson play so much, which is why I would consider, Antonio Gibson, even like plays like that. I think it's going to be a ball control, time of possession game. You're going to see a lot of possessions, especially on the Washington side, that go 6 to 7 to 8 minutes. The one thing I do want to bring up as it relates, and I know this was a quarterback question, but I noticed a lot of people got this number on Brian Robinson at 62.5. I think that's partly because Leonard Williams is going to be back into this game, and that's a really big deal. That's something I was anticipating in my number, and frankly, that news to me was pretty evident as of a few hours ago. So if you can get it at 62.5, that's great. I still like it at 64.5, but as far as Heineke, I'm on the under there.
Okay, very, very good. I'm coming to you, Alex, and Mikey. I'm coming to you on total and on the side. You've been very good on those two, so stand by. Alex, let me come to you because there's a big-time receiver for the Commanders named Terry. Say it correctly for me. See, McLaurin, right? McLaurin. I always mess it up. I apologize. Terry McLaurin, over 5.5 plus 124, over 61.5 minus 115. He signed that big deal in the offseason. Now he's got to show up. Your thoughts on him tonight?
Yeah, he's had a nice season, Coach. You have to understand this Commanders offense really runs the football. If they are winning in a game or the game is a neutral game environment, they are going to really lean heavily. Just not a lot of passing volume. They're really limiting Taylor Heineke's pass attempts. So while I love Terry McLaurin, he's an excellent real-life player, he has a bigger impact on the actual game than sometimes the stat sheet may reflect. 60 certainly is an attainable number for him. I just don't have enough confidence in the Giants really pushing Taylor Heineke and this Commanders offense to air the ball out enough to comfortably play his over. So I'd lean over on it. Certainly not fading him, but just a no play for me because of the matchup.
All right, makes a lot of sense. Now, Mikey, let me come to you because the number's kind of weird tonight. The chat's asking about the side and the total, and we saw some games today with those bananas late that went to the over, like Arizona and Denver. So there's been a lot of points scored late in games today. Your thoughts on either the side or on the total or both?
Yeah, I'll attack the side first. I think that the number's slightly inflated at this point. I think it's difficult to make either one of these teams, Washington in this particular spot, difficult to get them up 4.5 or more. Hold on a second, guys. I have to get Chief out of here. Hold on.
Oh, Chief. Love Chief. All right, I'll let him handle Chief. And in the meantime, while we are waiting, hit that like button for me. Where are we at on likes? Do we have 500 to do our same game parlays tonight? Where
Coach,
are
we are at 189. So we have work to do.
And how many people are watching, AB?
Yep. And we have over 1,000 people watching.
Over 1,000 people that are taking their time to get all this incredible information, but yet you can't hit a like button. Take the chat down, hit the like button, put it right back up, and keep on talking amongst yourselves. That's all you got to do. Because if we don't get to 500, we don't give out the same game parlays that I know a lot of you enjoy and you like to play. All right, Mikey, you are back. I filled that time beautifully as the host.
Yeah.
What were you saying, sir?
We are back. Chief has been sick, a little chocolate poisoning. So Chief, he's on the mend. He's on his way up, though. So we're good there. As far as the spread, though, 4.5 is a massive number in this divisional game when you have a total of 40.5. It's a significant total. I think that Washington is very clearly the better team. There's a big difference between 4.5 and 3. I think the number should be a lot closer to 3 than 4.5. I think we're seeing the market move it a little bit closer to 4. If you made me play it, I would play the 4.5 with the Giants. I would take the points at this point. It's one of those games. It's a lot like that Colts game the other day where I think that you could relatively comfortably take the Commanders money line and take the points on the other side, or at least take an alternate number on it. So that's where I'm leaning on it. I'm very, very, very close to playing the under in the game as an official play. Might add that by the end of the stream. We're still working through everything over here on my end. It's mostly an efficient number, right? I think that this game has 20-17 written all over it, like a lot of these games end up doing. So I have a pretty significant lean on the under. I haven't made an official play yet. We might before the stream is over.
All right. Very, very good. By the way, what Mike is talking about the other day, he had the Colts at plus 3.5. They went up big. Then he started hammering the Vikings on the money line to come back. They win by 3. You win it all. And that's what he's talking about. If it ends up between 1 and 4, you win both bets. And it was just 20-20 2 weeks ago. So take that for everyone, whatever you want to use it for. But that's great advice from Mikey. Now, it may not hit, but these are two teams that definitely play into that narrative. All right, continue to hit that like button for me. Not too many questions in the chat tonight about props because it just seems like, Alex, it's one of those games, you already talked about McLaurin, that they play so close to the vest. And the fact that Dallas lost today, and with some of the other things that have happened, these teams know at 7-5-1, this is a must-win game. Does that change how players and teams go about their business?
Certainly. I think it's obviously, as you mentioned, this is like the season on the line, especially in a division this competitive, with Dallas losing. Both of these teams could potentially sneak in to a wild card spot, but we've seen all season long, both these teams have really been fighting. Not a lot of expectations coming into the year, but yeah, I expect this game to be very competitive. Coach, I did want to mention one more guy before we wrap up props for the evening. Sia and I actually spoke about this guy a bit before the stream tonight. That's Darius Slayton. He's been the Giants' best wide receiver this season, having a really good year. Giants really struggled to get the passing game going early in the season. He's kind of emerged and has been a pretty reliable target. If you look at his game logs over the past 7 or 8 games, he's been definitely Daniel Jones' best target. I've always been bullish on this guy. He's always had a lot of talent, never really got the opportunity, but because of all the injuries in the Giants wide receiver room, we're seeing him sort of elevated to that number 1 role. His receiving line is 46.5 yards. It is a tough matchup against the Commanders. They have a very good pass defense. This Commanders defense is super legit, Coach. They're 6th in APA allowed per drop back, 2nd in EPA allowed per rush. One of the more balanced defenses in the NFL. But the beauty of Darius Slayton is that he can get off on just one play. He has a very deep A dot, coupled with the fact he's very explosive with the ball in his hands after the catch. So he doesn't require a lot of targets to make a big impact in the game. His target share has been trending down in recent weeks, which is why I'm not playing him tonight. But I definitely think he could have a big impact and definitely break off a big run or, a big catch.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. We need 45 more likes, I'm being told in the chat. While we wait for those, and we're closing in on the top of the hour, so time is winding down. See, let me come to you, because even though we can't play a lot of props tonight, the game script could, as Mikey said, lean into some live betting. Knowing what you know about how the Commanders have played, specifically the last 5 or 6 weeks, and the way the Giants have been struggling, do you agree with Mikey that you would bet the Giants, though, to keep it tight at plus 4.5?
I would. I was hoping when I looked at this line, I was hoping this line would be 3. And I knew that was kind of wishful thinking. I thought it would be 3.5. 4.5 is just way too many points in a division game. I understand Washington's at home. And I think a big factor here is that Washington is coming off of a bye. But at the same time, the Giants appear to be getting healthier. Saquon Barkley appears to be more healthy than he was last week. Leonard Williams is back. So the classic benefit of a bye doesn't really seem in play here because the Giants seem to be okay. And this is a playoff game for both teams. So I think Brian Dable is going to pull out all the stops. You're going to see some very interesting play calls, a lot of misdirection, a lot of maybe even some gadget plays from the Giants just to get stuff rolling. And I think you might see that on the Washington side too, just a little bit at the beginning of the game. Maybe some throws to Terry McLaurin just to soften that defense a little bit against Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. But yeah, I think 4.5 is way too much. If anything, I would bet the Giants here. I'm not going to do that. And I probably will also wait for a live bet opportunity.
Yeah, it's rare that we root for a score for a team at the start of the game. But in this instance, that's exactly what we would want, because we just believe the Commanders are better. All right, so that's all the best bets. We will recap the best bets at the end of the show. We have 3 more things to do. We've got 2 same-game parlays. We call one the donkey, one the goose. And then also we will give you some of our handicapping on what we think the first touchdown of the game is going to be. So we're at 500. So it's time to do the donkey. So, Mikey, without further ado, you, sir, are up first.
All right, here we go. Plus 1,000 tonight. Washington Commanders on the money line. New York Giants plus 14.5 alternate spread. Take the alternate total up to 47.5. We're going to go under 249.5 on Daniel Jones passing yards. Terry McLaurin over 49.5 receiving yards. And then Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown scorer. I put this leg last. Leave it off if you are not comfortable playing this portion of this play. Still a pretty healthy number, even without the anytime touchdown on it. But I'm going to play it here plus 1,000.
And we have met many of the donkeys and the gooses this year, if you are brand new to the brand. By the way, Kevin in the chat says, does AB have any kicking thoughts? I come for the genius of the crew. I stay for the AB pop-ins. And points are going to be at a premium tonight. So we're not playing it's usually at plus 7.5. I'm not willing to bet that one of those kickers gets to that. AB, real quickly, do you?
Coach, I agree with you. It's risky tonight. Now, you do have the opportunity with being low scoring and a tight game generally with in-division rivals here. That being said, I don't trust them to get to 2. I don't trust the kicking points. Yeah, just stay away.
Just stay away. It's one of those games. Maybe just play the side and then be happy with it and play the donkey and play the goose. Alex, you're up.
Let's go. Where's my theme music, AB? Give it to me. All right. First up, we've got the Giants under 27 total points. Next up, the Commanders under 29 total points. Taylor Heineke to throw for at least 150 passing yards. Antonio Gibson to have at least 30 rushing yards. Darius Slayton to have at least 30 receiving yards. And Terry McLaurin to have at least 50 receiving yards. Put it all together, plus 450 for the goose.
All right, so you've got a plus 1,000. You could choose between both. You could play both. Whatever you want to do. Take a look at the goose there, plus 450. Very tasty from Alex and from Mikey. All right, the one other thing we do, we like to predict the first touchdown of the game. My guys take a lot of time, so you can tail them if you so choose. These picks are plus 1,000 or higher. Alex, you, sir, tonight are up first.
Let's go, Coach. I'm going Darius Slayton. Talked about him just a moment ago, plus 1,700 odds. He's the Giants' number 1 wide receiver. He's had a really good season for the Giants, sort of emerging out of nowhere. Always been very bullish on his talent. He's got 2 touchdowns this year. He only needs 1 touch to just rip off a massive catch. So I love Darius Slayton, plus 1,700, Coach.
All right, that's a good place to start. Voice of God, you correctly picked this a few weeks ago. Next, so what do you like tonight?
Yes, sir. You know what? I'm going to keep it simple. And Allison in the chat is spot on with it. Daniel Jones get it plus 1,600. I think that the Giants are going to do everything that they can to be safe, yet aggressive in the red zone. Give me Daniel Jones, runs it in himself.
Oh, Allison, why does she always seem so much smarter than all of the rest of us combined? All right, next up, M Squared. Who do you like tonight to score first?
We are going with one Logan Thomas. You know, we love tight ends for the VJM gym here. I like the spot for him. I think he's going to be open in the end zone. It's going to be all about trying to stop Terry McLaurin and the running backs out of the backfield here. So I like the spot for Logan Thomas. I think he's going to be open. He can catch passes in the end zone, and I definitely think he'll be on the field in the red zone here.
And that's a nice number 2, plus 1,800 if you can cash that ticket with Mikey tonight. All right, see ya. You got off the schneid, big boy. Can you make it 2 times in 1 week to correctly predict the first touchdown of the game? Who do you like tonight?
Yeah, I mean, probably, right? I got to say, this pick of mine is also Mike McClure's pick in a way. I mean, we kind of submitted this pick at the same time. Sorry about my caller, everybody. So I want to give him credit when this hits. It's going to be Jahan Dotson at plus 1,600. I just mentioned how I think Washington, to the extent they pass it all, if it's a neutral game script, I think it's going to happen in the beginning of the game just to soften that defense a little bit against the running game. So we know that Terry McLaurin is the number 1 target, but Jahan Dotson is firmly the number 2 target here. He caught 5 of 9 for 54 yards last time these two teams played 2 weeks ago. And his initials are JD, and I find that kind of cool being a JD myself. I think this one's definitely coming in. Give me Jahan Dotson plus 1,500 for back-to-back hits.
Anytime that we talk about a player on the show and then he shows up in the first touchdown of the game selections, usually those two things go together. So we'll see if Sia can. It's never been done before. Never been done 2 nights in a row. Jake the Snake is on Curtis Samuel, plus 1,200 as well, as he's still trying to get off the schneid as well. All right, Kyle says, hey, guys, is there a donkey tonight? Just getting here. Well, guess what, Kyle? I'm in a giving mood. We just gave it out a minute ago, but we're going to give it out again after we do our best bets before we get out of here, so you are in luck. But quickly, guys, 10 seconds or less. Let's rip through our best bets for those people who dropped in the chat at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. See ya. Start us off.
Yeah, give me Brian Robinson over 64.5 rushing yards, but I'll concede in some places this is 62.5. Go ahead and obviously take that number as well. He's averaging, last time they played, he averaged 4.6 yards per carry, but his yards per carry has gone up over the last 4 games. It's nice to see. His rushing attempts have also been very high. This game script lends itself to the rushing attempts staying high. This is a volume play more than it is anything else. Give me Brian Robinson over 64.5 rushing yards.
By the way, Big Cheesy 707 said, I wore my collar buttoned up to the top in honor of Sia at my Christmas party last night.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's embarrassing, Big Cheesy. But apparently that's what he's talking about. So you and Sia are simpatico. Oh, my gosh. All right. Alex, what do you like tonight?
Yeah, I like Saquon Barkley, longest rush over 13.5 yards. This Giants offense and Saquon is predicated on breaking off big plays. Saquon's eclipsed this in 9 of 13 games. He's second in the NFL in breakaway yards. And most importantly, he practiced without limitations this week. I think this is going to be the healthiest Saquon who's been hampered by injuries over the last few weeks that we've seen in a while.
Voice of God, come in. You got 4 big plays tonight. Explain yourself.
Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to play Giants second half team total over 9.5, minus 105. Commanders second half team total over 10.5 at plus 100. And then both quarterbacks, the no-fly zone is open on both sides. Daniel Jones over half an interception plus 160. And Taylor Heineke over half an interception at plus 125.
One thing we're not going to do is re-show you the incredible graphics that AB does for the shows. You got to be here on time. Sorry, Kyle, for that. But those are our best bets as a crew tonight. And we will give out the same game parlays one more time because we have just a little bit of time. So let's put the donkey back up for those people who came in right at the top of the hour. Mike, if you don't mind, rip through it again, please.
Washington Commanders on the money line. Giants plus 14.5 alternate spread. under 47.5 on the alternate spread. Daniel Jones under 249.5 passing yards. Terry McLaurin over 49.5 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown plus 1,000. As always, I put the anytime touchdown scorers at the bottom. If you want to drop it off of there when you're building it, feel free to do so.
We recently hit one of these in the first half. That's how dialed in Mikey and Alex are. So that's the donkey. By the way, Kirby says, good work, Big Cheesy. Coach doesn't know fashion or hair. It's embarrassing. Everybody just taking shots. And then Javon says, hold up. That's Thug Life, Cheesy. Yeah, when I think of Sia, I think Thug Life with the buttons up to the top. All right, that's a donkey. What do we got with the goose tonight, Alex?
Yeah, we've got under 27 total points for the Giants, under 29 total points for the Commanders, over 150 passing yards for Taylor Heineke, over 30 rushing yards for Antonio Gibson, over 30 receiving yards for Darius Slayton, and last but not least, over 50 receiving yards for Terry McLaurin. Put it all together, plus 450.
Dickie says, I don't know, McProppy in that McFry shirt is pretty fly. Is that a McDonald's sweatshirt?
It's a Supreme sweatshirt, I believe.
A Supreme sweatshirt. Okay, very good. All right, we've reached that time of the show that I like to ask all of my experts, what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to tonight? Use this information for tonight's game or moving into the future. And today is a great example that you never know what information you're going to need with the craziness of the end of the NFL season. M Squared, start us off.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how each team comes out prepared here. On the one side, the Commanders, they've had 3 weeks to prepare for the exact same opponent. No travel really for either of the teams playing. The Giants played a game against the Eagles as well. So I think both teams are well rested, healthy. It's essentially a playoff game. Looking forward to see who values the football more.
You're damn right. I am too. Alex, talk to me.
Looking forward to seeing a healthy Saquon Barkley. We haven't seen him practicing without limitations for quite a bit. Early in the season, this guy looked like he was on pace for just a monster year. He's cooled off recently, but I'm very encouraged by his practice report. So hopefully we can see him rip off a big run in the first quarter, cash the prop, and then all is well in the universe, Coach.
See ya. Bring us home.
A couple of years ago, do you remember we were all laughing at the NFC East because the team to qualify for the playoffs was the NFC East winner, Washington football team? So it's interesting because all of the NFC East teams right now in this moment are in the playoffs. The entire NFC East is in the playoffs. That might change, obviously, very, very soon, but this is a playoff game. Make no mistake about it. Everybody's going to leave everything on the field. As much as you think this is going to be a slow plotting game, the intensity is going to be at a 10. And anytime you're talking about a Taylor Heineke game, it's going to be a fun game. So buckle up, everybody. This is going to be more exciting than you think.
Yeah, he is my favorite quarterback to watch play right now because when he plays well, I love seeing the end of game interviews because nobody lays it out there more than that dude does for his football team. And we're going to see it a lot tonight in just a matter of minutes. That's all the damage that we can do. Do not forget tomorrow, Monday, 3 big shows. Morning show at 10 a.m. Eastern, Early Edge and 5 at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Then, of course, me and the crew, once again, Early Edge Live as we count down to Monday Night Football as we get closer and closer to the NFL playoffs, our bread and butter. But with that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Sunday night tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. M Squared, Prop Stars, C Najad, AB, the voice of God on the ones and the twos. I am the coach. Turn on your notifications. Don't let one single second of our incredible content pass you by. Right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.